Plenty of people dream of starting a web design agency, but with all the doom and gloom about the economy and AI taking people's jobs, it can be easy to let that put you off. But I actually think that 2026 is a great year to take the leap and to start a web design agency. In this video, I'm going to share 5 reasons why. Hi, thanks for joining. If you're new to the channel, I'm Rich Dean, a web designer and developer, former web agency owner, and author of the book series Start, Grow and Sell Your Web Design Agency. My goal is to help anyone looking to start, grow, and sell an agency to save time, earn more money, avoid the conversations and pitfalls, but a thriving and valuable business. Okay, so on to the main topic, starting with number 1, AI can help you with the heavy lifting. So I've posted a few videos recently about how I'm using AI in my own freelance web design business and how much of a game changer it's been. And it can be the perfect tool to help you get your agency off the ground too. In fact, if I think back to when I started my web design agency, which was more than a decade ago, it was long before AI, and so things were definitely a lot harder without it. I was an experienced web designer and I was also pretty good at front-end development, but I was also still fairly new to back-end development, so especially PHP and WordPress. I didn't have AI to help me back then, so there was so much that I needed to figure out. It was a really steep learning curve, and as I was on my own, I didn't have anyone else to help me. I could still use Google or places like Stack Overflow, but there was still a lot of trial and error. I burnt a lot of time trying to figure these things out, and it was really stressful. Later, once I got my agency off the ground and we were growing, I needed to employ more experienced developers to handle the more complex stuff like that. But now that we have tools like ChatGPT and Claude, things have changed completely. Using AI, I'm now able to work on my own, but I'm also able to tackle some really complex projects, the kind that I never would have been able to before. And overall, I'm able to develop websites to a much higher standard and a lot quicker too. But AI isn't just great for actually building websites. It can be a great tool to help you research and structure your agency too. So in this sense, AI has removed or at least alleviated one of the most challenging parts of starting a web design agency. Number 2, websites are now an established medium. We probably take it for granted that websites are just this established thing that most clients need to have, but it wasn't always like this. When I started my career more than 25 years ago, websites were still relatively new, perhaps even something experimental that clients weren't always sure about. But that was a long time ago. The internet is now an established, always-on medium that we've all come to rely on, and that means that most businesses and charities depend on their websites, at least in some way. This also means that whether times are good or bad economically, clients will always need a good website, and that's especially true in 2026 when businesses need to compete even harder just to stay ahead. This means they will always need good web designers and web agencies to work with. So even if the economy is struggling, like it is right now, there will still be plenty of work out there. It's a stable business model, and this is also one of the reasons why web design is so competitive. But that's actually a good thing. If there wasn't plenty of work available, then there wouldn't be so many web designers and web agencies. Number 3, clients still need to invest and even work harder. Okay, before we get to this one, I need to ask you a really big favour. It will really help us a lot if you could like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and also share this content with anyone else you think could benefit from it. It takes a lot of time to make these videos, so this will really help YouTube to recognise our content, and it'll mean we can carry on making helpful videos just like this. Okay, thank you, and back into it. So when times are tough, the last thing that clients can afford to do is to take their foot off the gas and stop investing in their websites and their marketing activities. Sometimes clients think that this is a sensible thing to do, but from my experience, if they try to cut back, it usually ends up backfiring on them. I noticed this when COVID-19 first hit. In early 2020, after going through a really busy period for new business, when the lockdowns first hit in March, we noticed a definite dip as clients paused spending on their websites. We weren't the only ones to notice it either. Plenty of our friends in other agencies, particularly SEO and marketing ones, also struggled as their clients basically pulled the plug on their spending. Those clients were panicking, and so they thought it was a sensible idea to cut back on what they thought was an unnecessary expense. But that didn't last long. Only a couple of months later, we had an influx of work as those clients suddenly realised that they needed to invest even more so that they could keep up in what was becoming a fast-moving and more competitive market. In fact, many of those clients who initially cut their budgets realised that they actually had to spend more and work harder on their websites and marketing just to get back to where they were. Basically, when times are tough and customers aren't spending as much, businesses need to work even harder and fight for every penny. The same is happening now. Even though the economy is struggling, the last thing that clients can afford to do is underinvest in their websites. But they will want the best value for money, which leads us into the next point. Number 4, clients will want more for their money. So just because clients need to invest more in tough times, that doesn't just mean they'll want to spend money for the sake of it, or they will spend more than they need to. Far from it. In fact, when times are tough and budgets are tight, clients will usually become even more attuned to market rates and what they could be spending. But that's also a good thing, especially if you're just starting out as a solo web design freelancer or a very small agency. When times are good and when there's more money moving around in the economy, clients can be more relaxed about what they're spending, and they may be more open about investing in bigger budget websites or working with bigger, more expensive agencies. But when the economy is not doing so well, those clients will focus more on value for money and making sure they get the maximum return on their investment while spending as little as possible. That works perfectly for small startup agencies, especially if you already have a lot of experience as a web designer or developer. Those bigger agencies, by their nature, will have bigger costs and overheads that will make them less competitive. As a startup or small agency, if you can stay lean and keep on top of your overheads, then you may be able to offer the same level of service and quality as those bigger agencies, but at a much lower cost. That can be incredibly attractive to those clients looking to save money. And when times are tough, many clients actively seek out solo designers and developers or small startup agencies, specifically because they know they could get the same level of service or maybe even better, but for less money. So if you're just starting out, this is definitely something you should use to your advantage. So don't be afraid to really shout about this when you're going out and meeting new clients. Number 5, it will give you more control over your own destiny. So if you're watching this and you're currently employed for someone else's agency, then you may feel like having a steady job gives you more security than the unknown of starting your own agency. But let me ask you something. Do you really feel secure in your job? Do you feel like you have full control over your own destiny? The problem with working for someone else is that at any point, you could walk into work one day only to be told that you're being let go because the company needs to downsize. In the current economic climate, that's as much of a risk as it's ever been. In fact, I always felt that being employed was actually less secure than running your own business. And it's actually one of the reasons why I left employment and started my own agency in the first place. Now, to be honest, neither of them are actually secure. In either situation, for you to earn money, they both rely on there being work to do, as that's what pays you. The only difference is that if you're employed in someone else's agency, you're basically shielded from that uncertainty about where the work is coming from and whether there will be enough of it. But that uncertainty is always there, regardless of whether you work for someone else's agency or you run your own. It's just that when you work for someone else's agency, it feels more secure because that uncertainty is hidden from you. You turn up to work each day and there's usually work waiting for you to do without you needing to worry too much about how or where it came from. But as I just mentioned, what happens if you walk into work one day and that work is not there? What happens if you are told that your job is no longer there? In my mind, that's always been the most uncertain part of being employed. But when you run your own agency, you will at least have more control over your own destiny. It may not always be easy, and you'll still need to find the work, just like your employed agency would. But the difference now is that you will have direct control over that. You can find the work. You can roll up your sleeves and go out and get it. You can take the necessary steps to build your agency and your client base. And the best part is that you can't be fired. Okay, so hopefully you found this video useful. If you've enjoyed it, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you'd like more tips and insights for how to get your agency off the ground, check out my book series, Start, Grow and Sell Your Web Design Agency, which you can buy from Amazon now, and I'll share a link in the description below. And if you'd like to watch even more informative content, then why not check out this video here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.